hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean, yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have Nautical 4th of July. Here is a sneak peek of what we're going to make today, all using supplies from the Dollar Tree. So let's get started. Red, white, and blue is perfect for patriotic 4th of July, but also perfect for nautical. I got these 3 long signs from the shore living section at Dollar Tree, and I picked them up thinking patriotic. Then I have some of these little burlap signs with a typo. The last time I tried to buy one of these, they wouldn't sell it to me. They said it's unsellable with a typo, but good thing I've already stocked up. But these would be even better because they're the perfect width. The only problem is I only had 2, and I wanted to do 3 for red, white, and blue. I love the cutouts of these long signs, but I'm not a big fan of the long signs, and so I thought I would use the best part of the sign, which is the cutout. These burlap signs are great because you can just pop off the little outside sign and you have a little burlap covered sign, so it just saves a step. That way burlap will show through the little cutouts, but first I need to cut them to size. I first attempt to just cut the top and the bottom off and make it like slightly oversized. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm kind of measuring. Now, if you use those other frames that I showed you, you could just cut the top and the bottom off, and it would be way less cutting, and it would be a little bit bigger sign. So those would be ideal, but the little burlap signs are what I have, so that's what I'm working with. So I cut the top and the bottom off and try doing it that way, and it did make it, not quite square and a little oversized, which I wasn't really a big fan of. So I thought, if I'm going to cut these, I might as well just cut them. So I do have like a fancy saw I bought myself, and I might as well just cut them. But there's little nails sticking out of the burlap sign, so be careful with those. I always use a hammer and kind of like push those back in. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it all the way down to size. I might as well if I'm cutting. And so I cut it and I get that cute little cutout of the sailboat with the burlap showing through. Now here I make a mistake because I'm like, I'll just use one to cut another one. I really should have lined it up with the sign to cut it, because you'll see why here in just a second. I go and I cut that off, and I get way too close to the bottom of the anchor because the anchor was bigger than the sailboat. I didn't really line it up, and it all cut all the way through, as you can see there on the bottom. So be careful if you're using these. How to fix it, I just cut a tiny little triangle off the piece I cut off and kind of put it in there just because it was bothering me. But so we have a red sailboat, we have our blue anchor, and then we're going to have the white seashell. So this time I learned my lesson. I'm going to cut it out properly by actually laying the block on there and kind of seeing where the cutout of the shape's going to be. And this was such a fun way to use these long signs. And I have lots of excess board that I can use for other DIYs as well. But the colors on these were just perfect. When I saw them with the shore living line, I was like, red, white, and blue. 4th of July, we can do something with this. Now, the painting job does look a little too uniform, so I'm just going to go in with some white paint, and I mean very, very, very lightly distress the wood, just to kind of make it look a little bit better, a little less cheap. And I do that on the red sailboat, and I also do it on the blue anchor one. Now, nautical is a little outside my wheelhouse. I always do coastal farmhouse, but I usually do the really beachy with the light blues. And you can see from my previous 2 patriotic videos, I did beach where I did like a light blue instead of the royal blue or the navy blue. But I thought I would try something new and do some nautical for you guys. I know a lot of you guys live on lakes too, and a lot of you guys live on the shore, and you do a nautical decor as well. So I thought I would give you another option for your 4th of July decorating. I distressed the white one too, but I just used some antique wax by Waverly instead of the white, just to kind of slightly rough it up a little bit, but not too much. And the white wasn't like real white, so I do go in and distress it with a little bit of white acrylic as well. And this was so easy. I love the little cutouts on these, and I'm always trying to find a way to use these signs. I did the coastal candle holders where I made them into lanterns and to wall sconces. There's so many things you can do with them besides just the long signs. Just not a big fan of the long thin signs unless you layer other things on top of them and make them a little bit thicker. So this is how they're going to look. I'm just going to attach them to the little burlap sign with some hot glue. And if you can't find the little burlap signs, you could always cover a little sign with burlap. Or if you had like white or any kind of like patriotic fabric or anything behind it too, that would look super cute too. So I am just gluing those all on. My anchor, where I cut too close to the bottom, I do like just glue my little patch in there just to make myself feel better. And then we can have our red, white, and blue shelf sitter signs. These were kind of the first 3 projects that I did, and I kind of went from there. They were my inspiration. Now the blue was a little lighter than I would like. I'd like it to be a little bit more navy, so I do go in and distress with a little bit of navy acrylic paint as well to bring in a darker shade. Then I thought I would bring a little 4th of July touch into the white one. The shell's kind of big, and I can fit a 4 in there. So I'm going to use one of these little galvanized metal numbers from the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it red, just to bring like the number 4 in for the 4th of July, because a lot of this stuff today looks really nautical but with patriotic colors, but I wanted to bring a little touches of 4th of July and patriotic into it as well. So once I get that painted red, I'm just going to glue that on the burlap, and that is the final step in the DIY of these first 3 projects. And this is how it looks in my cabinet. I think they're super cute. What do you think? Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these beach sailboats from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. They have it with a blue sail. They also have it with a white sail. And then I'm going to use some of this blue with white star patriotic fabric that I found at the Dollar Tree as well. I didn't find that with 4th of July. I actually found it like in the regular craft department, but it's the first time I've seen it. And that's what the white one looks like. You could totally do it with the white sail as well. And I am just going to cover that part where I just removed the little foam sticker with the fabric to give me like a patriotic sail for our little boat, but leaving the blue on the other side because I think that looks perfect. So I'm just going to kind of lay this out and cut out a square out of that fabric big enough for the sail. You know, your girl usually is like hoarding flowers from the Dollar Tree, but I've been hoarding fabric lately. They have had the best fabric, denim, all different kinds of great fabric. I need to stop buying fabric. But this is perfect. This is perfect for patriotic. And the great thing about this is that you can use whatever you have. You could even use like scrapbook paper or anything that you can find that makes you think patriotic, or you could even paint it as well. Stars are really easy to paint on. So I made myself a little pattern just by using that existing wood and then filling in my missing lines. And then all I'm going to do is go in and cut that out. I'm using my really sharp fabric scissors so I can try to get as little fraying as possible out of this little piece. And I cut it to size. So I'm going to make this like, I kind of want to make it a 3-dimensional sailboat, but I wanted to get the sails done first and then I'll show you how I build it out from there. I'm going to glue it down with just a very thick layer of Mod Podge. Since it's fabric, it's kind of heavy. I'm going in thick, and then I'm going to just lay the fabric on top. It really matches the blue sail that's on there really well, but the contrast against the white sail would look really good as well too. So I'm just kind of smoothing that on, kind of using a baby wipe to kind of push it down on there. And then I go in and dry it. And then to make sure that it is attached and it's going to stay attached, I also go over the top of the fabric with some more Mod Podge. And this is just the matte Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. I don't like the shiny gloss kind. I'm going to use one of these short, heavy-duty signs from the Dollar Tree to try to make this a stand-up sailboat piece. I think that will be heavy enough. If you can't find a short one like this, you could use a longer one and cut it down for sure, or whatever you have. And then I am going to use some of this driftwood from Target. This is the vase filler driftwood. It is back like with their plants and stuff. It comes in a box like this. It's on sale right now at my Target for $7, I believe, with delivery. And I love it. It is great for crafting with. And so I am just going to start building. I'm going to cover up the whole like boat part of the sign with the driftwood, just working one piece at a time and gluing that down with hot glue, slightly overlapping the pieces. I'm not worried if any of that light blue shows through. That would look cute too. But basically, I want this to look like a three-dimensional boat and give it just, a lot more character than it had before. So kind of like a puzzle, I just put this together. Super easy. Kind of overlapping here and there. If I overlap, I just kind of glue it to the next piece. I'm going to kind of build it out a little further on the sides as well, as far as I can go, to kind of give it that boat shape and kind of hide the back of the sign. And I'm really glad I decided to do this. I think this added so much more character to this cheap sign from the Dollar Tree. And I kind of keep building in the center too to kind of make it, have more shape outwards because I really want this to look cool. Now for the sail, I thought I would give a little decorative touch with some of these felt alphabet stickers from the Dollar Tree. And I want to do a little patriotic touch with USA. So these are super easy. They're just peel and stick. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to peel off the backing and stick these stickers down. Such an easier, faster way than using your Cricut, and if you don't have one. So just a nice little patriotic touch. That red looks really good against that color of blue. And then I wanted to do a little flag for the top, so I thought I would use some of this paper flag banner from the Dollar Tree. And I think it's big enough for the sail. You might be able to use this for the sail too if you can't find that fabric. It has a blue star and a red star pattern. I'm going to do the red star. I just cut off the tip of one to make a little flag. It's a little flimsy, so I'm going to cut off one of the white ones too and just kind of Mod Podge those together just to make that a little sturdier. Otherwise, you could use felt, cardstock, whatever you got. And I'm going to make a cute little flag just for the top to cover that little hole in our sign. And glue that on. It's another little touch of red for our sailboat. And this is the little sign that I'm going to use for the back. I picked this one because it was short enough that I can hide it back behind it without needing to cut it. And I'm going to lay it down like face down so I don't have to really paint anything. And I'm just going to attach that to our sign with a couple coats of hot glue there. And that dries really fast. And we have a nice stand-up sailboat now. It is really coming together. Now, I thought that the wood on it was a little lighter than I would like. A lot of the projects we're using today have kind of a more chocolatey brown. So you can also distress this driftwood super easily. So I'm just using some Antique Wax by Waverly from Walmart and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just distressing all over until I give it a little bit more character, a little bit more color. And yes, I finally braved Walmart and got some more antique wax by Waverly. One of you guys told me that they were phasing out Waverly and I panicked, but I got it. I'm good. Then I wanted to break up that blue sail a little bit, so I decided to use a skewer and make a pole just to kind of break up the blue and blue. Probably should have done this before I attached the flag. That would have made more sense. I could have just attached the flag to the skewer, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to attach that with a couple dots of hot glue on the front of our sailboat. And that is the last step in this DIY. This is how it turned out. This is how it looks on my shelf. I think it's super cute. It's super nautical and super patriotic. Okay, on to our next DIY. I got this great wood tray from the dollar spot at Target for $5. And I've used these before. I love them. I did one in the fall where I did an ocean scene. That one turned out really cool. And I thought I would do another version. So I'm just taping off the sides with painter's tape to kind of protect that. And I'm going to redo the back of the tray. Now, this was $5. You can probably get it cheaper at the thrift store, honestly. And I'm going to make some chalk paint. So I was just showing you, I mix my own chalk paint with water, calcium carbonate that I get on Amazon. I can post a link for this. And acrylic paint. I find it way cheaper than buying chalk paint, and I wanted a chalk paint to cover up all that writing on there. I wanted something a little thicker. So I think it's a tablespoon of water, 2.5 teaspoons of calcium carbonate, and 2 ounces of acrylic paint, which is like one of those little bottles of acrylic paint. And I love mixing my own. I will try finding that recipe. I found it online, and I'll try to remember to link that below and give you a link to the calcium carbonate. So just mixing that up until it's ready, and we're going to start painting this. It still required several coats of the white paint to cover up that writing, but that's going to give us a great background for what I want to do. I want to do like a red and white flag stripe. To kind of break up all the blue and the stars from the sailboat and kind of sit this behind that sailboat. You got a sneak peek of it just a second ago. Kind of do the stars and the stripes. So the first thing I just need is all of it to be white, and that will be the white for the white stripes on our flag. So I just keep painting it and drying it with my heat gun until we have good coverage. Now for the stripes, I'm going to use some of this red burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. This is from fall, but I find that I can still find it sometimes at my stores if they have it kind of like left over probably. But you could also use red ribbon. You could just use painter's tape and paint red stripes on. Totally work, but you know your girl loves texture, and I thought this red burlap would provide another layer of texture to this. But it's way too wide. I don't want to do that wide of a flag stripe. So I am counting the threads, trying to find the middle. And once you find the middle, you can split this really easily just by cutting in that same line, and you'll get 2 skinnier ribbons. So that is exactly what I'm going to do with the red burlap. And I'm going to kind of cut that to size. And then I use that one as a guide to cut the rest of my stripes. I'm going to do a total of 5 red stripes, having the flag start with and end with a red stripe. I always think my flags look better that way. And we're going to do just a really easy little sign. I also had a tray from the thrift store, but I thought I would show you this one just because it's easily available right now. My Target Dollar Spot has lots of these trays available. And we are just going to glue that down with Mod Podge. This part was kind of messy because I kind of wanted to seal the whole tray, so I was kind of using a thick layer of Mod Podge all over and just kind of measuring out where I put the stripes. But the burlap kind of sheds a little bit, so it was shedding like little tiny pieces of thread onto my glue, but that's okay. We'll clean it all up here in the end. I do the top and then I do the middle just to kind of space it out a little, and then I put a stripe in between, and then I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge the other half of our tray. I want to take a moment to thank you for watching my video today. I really appreciate you all. We hit 7,000 subscribers, so that's really exciting. I love that after a year, my channel is finally starting to grow. I really love crafting for you guys, and I really appreciate you all. If you could take a minute to like this video, I'd really appreciate it. And when you're done watching today, don't forget to comment your favorite project below or just say hi. I love reading all of your comments, even if I don't get a chance to respond. I usually try to give you a heart so you know that I at least had time to read it. So I cleaned up all that excess thread and stuff with just baby whites on the white stripes. And then the final touch, I thought one of these little navy anchors from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to kind of like lay that in there like that. And I'm going to sit it like this behind my sailboat on my shelf. And I love it. I love the red textury stripes. I think it looks really cool. Okay, the next DIY, I'm going to use one of these galvanized metal lighthouses from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree, and we are going to paint it. I first start by trying to cover up the hole with some masking tape. It didn't really work too well because I couldn't really get it flat with the paint, so I do end up taking that off. But I'm going to use that same white chalk paint that we mixed and just go over with several coats of that to give me a nice bright white background on this galvanized metal. Sometimes the galvanized metal can be a little hard to cover because the silver wants to shine through. So that's why it's definitely going to require several coats, even of a chalk paint. That's when I gave up on the tape and just decided to just paint that. And actually the paint kind of stuck in the hole and covered it anyway. Now I want to do the top of our lighthouse in like a navy blue. So I'm going to kind of outline that out with a navy paint pen. I have so many colors of these. I'll post a link to my paint pens below as well. I have a great selection. And I tried to color that in with a paint pen as well. That didn't work as well because it was just really rough. And that's not really kind of the finish I was going for. So after I try, I give up here. I'm going to go in with acrylic paint in the color navy and fill that in a little bit better because even after all that, I wasn't very happy with it. So the acrylic definitely worked better than the paint pen. The paint pen works well for outlining it, but maybe the rough texture of the metal and the chalk paint, the paint pen just didn't work too well for that. So I go over it with just the navy acrylic, and then I thought we could do some red stripes, some red flag stripes in a diagonal pattern. Navy and red works great for a lighthouse, and it's also our flag color, so perfect. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball them and using a tiny paintbrush, just kind of do some stripes. They don't have to be perfect, just kind of uniform, trying to keep them kind of parallel with each other. And then working all the way down the lighthouse. And then I'm going to use my red paint pen and I'm going to go in and just outline that just to kind of give it more of a finished look all around the edges of our lighthouse. And then I am going to go in and give some white stars to the top of our lighthouse just using my white paint pen. This is one of the Sharpie paint pens. I love that because I tend to go through a lot of white. And I'm trying to like uniformly scatter those. There was kind of a window in the way. I went ahead and just put a star there anyway, and I can go back and paint that over. And I'm just using navy again to do the windows. It's kind of raised on the galvanized metal lighthouse. It makes it really easy to see exactly where you need to paint. And my brush is pretty tiny, so I can get a pretty good detailed job of painting all the windows down the lighthouse. And the navy provided a nice contrast, but I'm also going to go back with my white paint pen and just kind of outline those as well, just to kind of clean up any craziness in my painting job there. And I think this lighthouse is turning out really cute. I really like that it looks like a flag, but it's still really nautical. Now the last step is I just need to find a way to make it stand up. I'm going to use one of these giant Jenga blocks from Five Below. I get these by the box every year. This year they were $12 for a huge box, and just whatever you have to make it stand up. And we have a lighthouse. So easy. And this is how it turned out. I think it's really cute and really patriotic. What do you think? Okay, our next DIY. I'm going to use one of these stencils from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree, From Sea to Shining Sea, and just an old Thanksgiving chunky wood sign that I just happen to have in my stash. And you can use whatever you have, a Dollar Tree sign, a thrift flip, an old sign that you don't want anymore. And I am just painting it that navy acrylic. This is such a pretty color of blue. And I think this is going to give me a great background for the From Sea to Shining Sea stencil. I've been trying to find a way to incorporate that into my DIYs, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. So I'm going in pretty thick and trying to cover up all of the writing that was on my little old Thanksgiving sign and giving that a quick dry with my heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, I highly suggest getting one. I'll post a link to mine below. They're only like $10 on Amazon, and they will speed up your crafting so much. So I put the stencil on there, and it kind of stuck. So I was like, okay, fine. And I'm going to use one of these little foam stencil daubers from the Dollar Tree and that white chalk paint that we mixed before, and start daubing that on. And then my stencil started moving. So I do use a little bit of painter's tape. I suggest you use painter's tape because I did go outside the lines of the stencil a little bit, and then you have to touch that up. So that prevents you from doing that as well. And I'm just going over and trying to make sure that I get all of the pattern filled in. I just want to pounce. I don't want bleeding. And I'm only going to do one coat to try to make that as clean as possible. And look how pretty that turned out. I love these stencils. I hope you were able to find some, or if you won my contest, I've given away a bunch of these. And this is how it turned out. So simple and just stunning. I love this piece. So pretty. To finish off the top, I thought it'd be really cute to put a little boat on there. This is from the fairy section at the Dollar Tree, and it's red, white, and blue, and I thought that would be perfect. And then to make it patriotic, I'm going to use one of these little flag cupcake toppers that I also got at the Dollar Tree and attach that to the boat. I was trying to figure out where, and I think just on the back of the boat. And I'm just going to glue the little toothpick to the back of the boat. And I am going to display that on the top of my From Sea to Shining Sea sign because it was a little shorter than my shelf. And this is how it turned out. I love them together, and I love that stencil. How pretty is that? So nice. Now, I have one more of these little ship wheels from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree that I haven't DIY'd yet, and I thought this would be perfect. It's going to give me a nice nautical feel. We can make it look patriotic, and it's going to give like a shape to my shelf. So let's go ahead and stain that with some Antique Wax by Waverly. So easy. This raw wood from the Dollar Tree is so easy to paint or to stain. One coat is plenty. What I love about the Antique Wax by Waverly is it brings out that beautiful wood grain and just makes it look way more high-end than you would expect a piece from the Dollar Tree to look. So I'm just going all over with a thin coat of that, kind of rubbing that into the wood with my foam brush. And then I go in with a paper towel and just kind of wipe off any of the excess. Dries super quick. Then I wanted it to look like more three-dimensional and less like a little thin, flat Dollar Tree sign. So I was trying to think of something I could build up the wheel with. So I'm going to use some of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. I thought the color of browns were pretty close, right? And kind of wrap this around and around and around the ship wheel to give like a more 3D feel to the ship wheel. And I think this turned out really cute. So I am just, one package was plenty of this one. If you wanted to use the wider one, it would be even easier because you'd have to wrap it around less. And I am just hot gluing that around. And keeping it all in one piece, we're just going to do a spiral glue. This is kind of like you would do if you were going to make like a mirror or something like that. And super easy, and I'm glad I thought to do this because I couldn't figure out a way. I didn't have like a reef or anything that size. I couldn't think of any way to like build that up and to make that more three-dimensional, and I love how this turned out. So one piece was perfect. I'm kind of going around trying to run out. I have a little bit of excess left here at the end once I get the middle part filled in with rope. And that way it leaves like all the stained other pieces kind of poking out the sides. Now I want a stand for it, so I'm going to use one of these little frame holders from the Crafter Square. And then I want a little circle for the middle, so I'm going to use one of the wood rings from the Crafter Square. I've been finding those recently, and I think they are perfect. I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto the center part with some hot glue. I do end up painting that, and I should have painted it before I glued it on, but I wasn't sure at this point that I was going to paint it. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the stand on as well. I do it on the one with the hole here on the bottom. Doesn't really matter though, and just glue that to it. Then I decide I want it to be red, so I'm carefully going in there with my red paint pen and trying to paint this red without getting any of it on my stain surface. So definitely paint it before you put it on there, but it gives another little 3D look to the ship wheel, and it's the perfect size for the center of the ship wheel. So this would have definitely been easier if I would have painted it first, but I'm just taking my time and being careful and going all the way around. I wanted to bring a little bit of red, white, and blue into it, so I thought I would paint the base red as well. I try to do it with my paint pen. It looks a little choppy. So after I start with my paint pen, I actually finish it with my red candy apple red acrylic paint just to kind of make it look a little bit better. But again, both of them paint before. To clean up all the excess fibers from my rope that I put around there, I'm just using a long lighter and burning off the excess fibers just to clean it up a little bit. Then to bring some navy in, I thought I would use some of this nautical rope that came, this was with the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree too. And it's like a navy and a natural color of rope together. And I thought that'd be the perfect little touch of navy. So I'm going to cut out like a little circle here to go around the red circle there that also covers up any of the paint that I wasn't able to get in there. And then I'm also going to line the base with it as well. That's going to bring in just a little bit of red, white, and blue. Just some subtle patriotic touches to this ship wheel. But you can leave it as is, and you can leave it up year round because this just turned out super cute, super nautical. And I'm just going to glue that on to the bottom, kind of wrap that around. And also gluing it to the front as well, just to make sure that it stays put. And I'm glad I went back and added a little bit of red, white, and blue to the ship wheel. I think it really helped the final look of it. I also wanted to take a moment to give a plug to our Facebook group. I'll post a link below. You should see what all my crafty beach bums have got going on over at Facebook. You guys are so creative. You guys give me so many great ideas. It's a great way for you to find out when I have a new video posted as well. So definitely come join us over on Facebook. You'll love it. And this is how the ship wheel turned out. I think it turned out so cute. I'm so glad I decided to do all of the rope. Now for the top of my cabinet, I always like to do a pennant banner, and I thought this wood bead garland from the Shore Living section would be perfect. This is the one with the ship wheel. They had like the anchor and the sailboat one as well. And my cabinet's wider than this garland. It's pretty short, and so I'm going to have to put two together to make it long enough, but This one had like a big design flaw. Like they have the little ship wheel attached with two little circles and they fit inside the wood beads next to them. And then the way they packaged them, like half of the ship wheels were broken. And so it definitely took two packages because I had to go in and take off all of the broken ones and kind of restring it as well. So that I didn't end up with as many ship wheels as I wanted, but I ended up with 5. So that'll work, but they shouldn't have designed it like that. They should have just had one hanger. And then I'm going to just paint the little ship wheels red, white, and blue. So I do the center ship wheel navy, and the 2 next to it I'm going to do in white, just using acrylic paint on all of these. I don't really care if I get any on the string because once I move them around, you're not going to be able to see it. And then the outer ship wheels, we are going to paint bright red in that candy apple red acrylic paint. Then for the ends, I want to do a little something on each side of the garland. So I'm going to use one of these Shore Living yard stakes. It's red, white, and blue. Has an anchor and a ship wheel. It says ahoy, it's perfect. There's also another one that says coast with like a life buoy and a paddle. That one would work as well. But I'm just going to take the stake off the back, use some twine to tie it up, and we're going to kind of have a piece on each side of my garland. I really like to decorate that part of my cabinet as well and give it a little bit more character. So just going to string it up with some twine. And then for the other side, I'm going to use one of these buoys that I made last year with my 4th of July. I just posted in my best of video. You can find out how you make those with floral foam on my channel. And this is how it looks. And that was our final nautical DIY for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. And stick around for the final reveal. But first, I wanted to give a huge thank you to my viewers, Jackie, Linda, Mary, twice Mary, thank you so much, and Sarah for giving me super thanks on my videos. It helps so much. I am a small channel, and that really helps buy my craft supplies so that I continue to make these great DIYs for you. And this is just a quick, easy way to support your favorite creator here on YouTube with a tip as little as $2 with a little thanks button underneath each video. Okay, are you guys ready for the final reveal? Here we go. Thanks so much for watching.
my love.